Okay, I just did a 24-minute video and got done and found out there's absolutely zero sound to it. So I'm going to do this again. It's not going to be 24 minutes probably. It's going to be fast and furious, and I apologize, but I just don't have time to spend another 24 minutes doing the video over again. So I'll try my best to give you to give you the details on every trade, show you this. I spent 4 or 5 minutes on this daily chart. I've re This thing just keeps going higher, keeps going higher. So obviously my channel was off. What I did was our upper trend channel was somewhere up here, and so that obviously this is a midline. If that's the case, I mean this market could run to 5,000 or higher. I mean I don't know if we're going to get there or not. We're getting into overbought territory again, and we're at the upper side of this green channel. It looks like. But again, it may be the upper side of this is way up here, and that's a midline. So who knows? It's just difficult to tell on this daily chart because it moves so slow. Uh, but needless to say, um, there it is. I did made some small changes to it. So anyway, let's flip over to the intraday chart and get through those trades. But there's a look at let me back out here where you can see the bigger picture of this. I want you to be able to get it. I mean, we're still making all-time highs for this contract. I don't think I'm gonna get it all in one frame here. Anyway, there it is. Um, you can see here's the original contract high over here, and we've gone. That's somewhere below, just below 4,600, and we've gone well above 4,600. So we could see a correction here soon. If this is the midline, you can see we found some resistance at it there, and a lot of times we'll pull back and test that. Maybe that was a pullback to test it there, and we've headed higher. We'll just have to see. But that's a look at the day. We've gone much more than a measured move here. So on this last, you can see the measured move. We've gone well past that. This market is strong. Don't argue with it. Just go with what you got. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart and get through the trade. Okay, here it is, and you can see what we had was a spike in channel up, really strong channel, and then we had a break here just prior to lunch, and once you get a retest and it just keeps going, look for another channel. Sometimes, usually what happens, it'll be real steep and then it'll narrow out to a more 45-degree angle. This one got steeper, so it just shows you a lot of strength there in the market. So this market is strong. Just don't argue with it. Take what it gives you. Uh, Again, we're getting it over to sold territory, so we could sell off here or get a correction anyway. If you go back and look at the daily chart, we hadn't had any big corrections in a while. It's just been mostly uphill. Sure, sometimes it gets slow and goes sideways, but lately it's just straight up. So for whatever reason this market wants to go higher, don't argue with it. Just go with it. So anyway, 7 o'clock came in here somewhere, and you want to be flat. You had this news up here at 7:30. So first trade you could take was about 7:45 or so. Notice you had a trend coming down. You got a break and two clear measured legs down. Nice signal bar there. So maybe you go long there. It's a long way away from the EMA. I like that trade. Generally, to be safe, you probably want to wait on a higher low, which comes here. Now, there's a catch to this higher low on the blue. It's an engulfing bar. It broke lower and turned up. I only like it blue if you went long on the engulfing bar. One tick above this bar because that gives you plenty of room. If you wait till here, you don't have much room, and you can see how it's finding some resistance. It still would have worked, but you got to be careful with that. So if you wait till this closes, I'd probably mark this one green too. A few minutes later, it comes back. It does find resistance at the EMA like you have to worry about. It comes back, and then you get a triple test here. I like another nice signal bar. Again, the signal bar is 5 ticks. We get a whole bunch of these. I think there's one that's 3 ticks, something like that. Might even be 2 ticks, but it's been a long time. People that are new are probably going, what happened to the volatility? Well, this is normal. This is a much more normal ES market. This is, you can use the 8 tick rule again for the most part. It's been so long since you could do that. You can't use it on every trade, but you get trades now where you can use the 8 tick rule again. And so for a lot of people, this is going to seem very slow. This is a normal market. I mean, since COVID, we've had the craziest volatility I've ever seen that lasted that long. But I think things are kind of normalizing again, and we're starting to rally again. So anyway, there's a triple test here and a second entry. Notice the new high, first entry, second entry. Take that trade. There's a higher low here, but no setup. Notice this is a double bottom, so you get a first entry, second entry. So there's a failure there. It's not an ideal failure. I tend to like it a little bit, but this is somewhat sideways, and you got to be careful taking a failure this close to the highs again. So I made it green. Maybe you take it, maybe you don't. This green channel comes on up. Nothing else in here. There's a hidden second entry here, but don't take that. It's too far away from the EMA. And then you get your break, and you come down. You get a second entry here. Actually, there's not. There's a first entry, second entry. So this is a third entry, but the signal bar is no good anyway. But what I would tell you here is this is sideways, so there's no leg down there really. So this is one leg, second leg. So that is a second entry in my opinion, but the signal bar is no good. Higher low here, but again, not a very good, not a tradable one. And then you're just working sideways here. I don't see anything I like until you get the failed breakout, and it looks like there's a trend here, and it confirms it. So I like that entry. There's a higher low here, and again, look at that signal bar, 6 ticks. You can use the 8 tick rule there. You get a higher low here, but it's a doji, so you really can't take that. Runs on up, and then you're working sideways, and you get another 1, 2, 3 triple test. And there's actually a hidden second entry in there, but that doesn't mean much. And again, 6 ticks, so you can get in with 8 tick rule again. This thing's starting to look strong now. It runs up to the high side. You don't want to short this thing. It's looking too strong. And we're working down here, and you get a first entry, comes down, and you get a second entry. Normally, I'd probably tell you don't take this second entry, because it got real bearish here, but it's bouncing off right off the key entry point. But there's no break of this and new low yet. But sometimes an overshoot will lead to a reversal. So there's reasons to like it, but the main thing is it's either 2 or 3 ticks. It's 3 ticks right off the key entry point, way away from the EMA. I mean, that's so low risk. Take it. And if you take that, you probably get a runner. There's a higher low here. I don't think I would trade that on the engulfing bar because that looks a little congested. But when this closes up here as a higher low, if it breaks above that, go along with it on a higher low. There's a reversal here, but that's not a tradable one. And it just takes off straight to the upper side. And then we start. And when you start working sideways like this without corrections that come down, that's telling you the market's still pretty strong. Even though we get a break right here, I don't see anything I like trading here. But suddenly you get another. It's been like a repeat pattern all day. 1, 2, 3, triple test. Again, signal bar is 4 ticks. You can get in with a less than 8 tick safety stop. And this one just takes off again. I don't think you get a runner on this one depending on how you played it. Comes back here, you get a first entry, then a second entry. I marked this green, but I'll be honest with you, you could almost argue for this to be blue because this is a strong trend. But the problem is you had a break, and you're close to having a new high, and you're right into resistance up here, although there's still plenty of room to get out. So even though I make that green, the only reason I made it green is because it didn't make a new low. You get the break, but you don't get a new low. So when the trend is strong, a lot of times you don't get a new low. So I wouldn't take this on the engulfing because that's a doji. I'd want this to close, and I'd go long 1 tick above it. You get a reversal here, which this is a continuation pattern. Again, I marked this green just because it's a reversal. Notice there's a new swing low here. And you get a first entry, second entry. And it fails right there when it breaks above this bar. And the only problem with it is it's right into the highs up here, and you don't have a lot of room there. So I think that one does warrant a green, um, because you're trading it as a trap. So it's probably going to get through. But notice how it finds some resistance. It takes a minute, and it does push on through. The market's, and look at it go. Look at all the little dojis. The corrections don't even turn down. They just go sideways. Here you got one bar down. And so we're just headed straight to the top. Again, don't try to short these. Just look for longs. And then this is just as easy as it gets. You get a straight trend down, a break, a move to a new low. When it breaks above this bar, it's a second entry long. 2 legs back to the trend line. Key entry point. Decent signal bar. Just go long right there. That's as easy as it gets. And look at it. You easily catch a runner there. Now they do come back here and get any break evens. This market's so efficient. But let me show you this. There's over 4 ticks, 4 points there. So even if you don't get a huge runner, you could easily get 3 points, 2 points. So if you have a runner or two on a trend day, try to get your runners. If you have a runner or two, that's a free. Let's just say you traded one contract and you only got 2 points out of it. That's a free 2 points. That makes up for 2 losers, or at least 1 loser if you're trading 2 contracts. If you're trading 5 runners, there's 10 points there, 10 easy points, and it makes up for a lot of losers. So just keep that in mind. Comes back here, gives you a higher low, but no signal bar. And notice you make a new swing high here. Here's another one. First entry. So when it breaks above here, it's a second entry long. Another second entry long. You do get a break of the trend line here, but it's still a second entry long, and you're expecting a new high. This is a very strong trend. It's been up all day long. I'm looking for a new high right there. I like that entry. And then, of course, it comes back right here and gives you another second entry. The only reason I marked this one green is because you're still in the yellow channel. And we didn't quite get to the high, though, here. But we already had a break in a new high, so you got to be a little more careful here. But this still would have worked if you take it. The problem is this is the main high you're worried about, but this one could cause you some resistance too. And there's only like 4 ticks back to there, so you got to be careful with that. I probably would not take that. But in a trend this strong, and you keep getting second entries, it's right off the EMA. Maybe you take it. Just be careful though, because usually you want to break a new low. And on a bigger picture, that would have been a second entry long right there. I mean, it's after 2:30, but I mean it's 2:34. Maybe you take that trade and that one too, because it's so late in the day. But you do already have your breaking new high. But that's clearly 2 legs back, and then a higher low, and then another higher low, a failure right there. So you can see that worked as a trap. Look how it ran right straight up before it turned down. So anyway, great trading day, and I went into a lot more detail on some of this in the other chart and the other lesson that didn't get any sound. So I apologize for that, but man, I just seem like it lately. I can't get things to go right for me. How you forget to turn the headphones on, I have no idea. I probably were putting them on and the phone call came in and I got distracted and just turned the phone off and went right to the video and didn't. That's the only thing I can think of, because I know my phone did ring just as I was getting ready to get started, and I decided to answer it for some reason. So anyway, I apologize. So I had to speed through it there, but I'm going to wrap it up so I can get out of here. Hope you had a good trading day. I hope you took advantage of this. Somebody did mention in the email they couldn't find trend lines today. I mean, this trend line is pretty easy to find right here. It's a spike in a channel, but you should definitely be able to find these shorter term ones at the very least and trade them. But these were important, both of these today, so hopefully you could find those. And a lot of times on a really strong trend day, when you get a break like this, that's just the center of a pattern, and you'll get another leg up. And sometimes, usually you'll have a steeper trend first, and then it'll flatten out. But today you had a flatter one first, which is still pretty strong, and then it got steeper. So the trend got stronger as the day went on. So keep that in mind. these trends are here. You just have to. It's a skill, and you got to practice it and work at it. And I can spot these trends without even. I can just glance at the chart and see them. I don't even have to draw them anymore. But I've been doing it for 25 years. If you've only been doing this for a few months, it takes some time. So, the gentleman that sent me the email saying he couldn't find them, just study my chart every day and make sure you can find it on your chart or something close to it, and just keep working on it. It'll come to you. This is not something you're going to pick up in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It takes time. It's a skill. And if you want to be a professional ball player, you don't just pick up a ball and go play professional ball. You have to hone your skill and work on it. And it takes years of practice and playing at a lower level, getting and then building up to higher levels and more, taking on better talent. And then eventually maybe you can play with the best talent. But you're not going to just pick up a ball and play with the best talent right out of the gate. Sure, uh, there's always a few exceptions, but for the most part, 99% of people can't do it. And trading's the same way. This is a zero-sum game. For you to make $1, somebody has to lose $1. So you got to be smarter than the best traders. That's why the best traders 10% of the traders make all the money. The top 10% of the traders make all the money, and the rest of the people are donators. And they need you donators every day. And there's no shortage of them because there's so many people that have unrealistic expectations and are so eager to give them their money. They come in here thinking they're smarter than everybody else and that they can do this. Just because nobody else could do it doesn't mean they can't do it, and they think they're going to do it. And they're just donators, and they donate to the cause, and they usually figure out that it's more work than they want to do, or they go broke and they give up. And then there's always a new crop of those same people coming in. Listen to me. I'm telling you the truth. This is a hard skill. And when I say it's a skill, I mean it. You got to be skilled at this. You got to be in the top 10% of traders, or you're just going to be a donator. You're going to be a donor. Don't be a donor. And to get to be the top 10%, it takes a long time. You got to be really good and skilled at this. And I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. People just don't want to believe it. People think they can do better. I don't know what it is, but it's the top 10% have been at this for years and years and years. Just to give you an example, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody or anything, but I've been doing this 25 plus years. Think how long I've had to learn to find these things, to find these channels and trends, and to learn these trades, and to just how much experience I've had watching prices print to a chart. It's over 10,000 hours. That's not something that you can sneeze at when you've been doing it for a few months or maybe even a couple of years. That's a couple of years is kindergarten to 25 years. So make sure you understand the skill that it takes to do this. It's a skill. It's not something that it's not throwing darts at a board and getting lucky. You won't get lucky enough. It's too hard. So you're going up against skilled traders that know what they're doing, and they will take your money in a blink. Because for you to make $1, they got to lose $1. And that's why 90% of people fail. They just have unrealistic expectations. They don't understand what it takes to make it. They don't realize this is a skill, a really hard skill. If it was easy to get into, why would anybody want to spend 15, 20 years being a doctor if you could spend 6 months at this and make more money with less headaches and less overhead? Why would anybody want to spend 8 or 10 years going to law school, going to get a college degree and going to law school and then passing the bar? Why would anybody fool with that if they could do this in a few months? So trust me when I tell you this is difficult. It's not as hard as you think it is, but it's a skill, and that's why. And you're trading against skilled professionals. So that's what's so hard about it, is getting as good as they are. So make sure you understand that. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but sometimes people need to hear this stuff because, it's just, I hate to see people come in here and donate their money to these guys, and we need donors. We do. But there's always going to be a fresh batch of them that never even hear my information and never hear the truth. They'll stumble on some website. The guy's got an indicator and he swears up and down it'll make you make millionaires out of them, and they'll pay thousands of dollars for some of that crazy stuff, and it ain't worth it's not worth 5 minutes of their time. Absolutely not worth 5 minutes of their time. There is no indicator. There is no software. There's nothing that will make you a profitable trader other than understanding price movements and learning how to read this chart. And learning how to read this chart, like I've told you many times, is basically the same thing as learning a foreign language. Except once you learn it, it's speaking to you in broken chart language. So it's not real clear. It's always a little bit hazy because nothing's 100%. But once you understand that chart language and you can read that broken chart language and you understand price movements because you got a lot of experience watching them print, that's when you'll start to make money. And that's when you'll start to really be good. But that's not going to happen. For most people, that's not going to happen in months or even a couple of years, in my opinion. It takes longer than that because you need a lot of time at the screen watching prices print to a chart. And that doesn't happen in just a few months. You need a few years of that. There's some people that'll do it quicker. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that'll do it quicker, but there's very few. Very, very few. Most is going to take you. Is going to take you. Most are not going to make it because they're not going to be willing to put in the time and hard work it takes. And the rest of them are going to try to trade too early, thinking they know what they're doing, and go broke and give up. So that's what happens to 90% of the people. And the other 10% hang in there and they learn to read this chart and they become very skilled at it and they take everybody's money. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hope you had a good trading day. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.